Hello students, good morning. Welcome to today's session. Let us begin our class discussing hobbies. Can you share with the class what your hobbies are? Few of you there might be telling it is reading. What about you? It is playing games. And now in this lockdown period, naturally it must be online games, right? Okay. And there few of you might be telling that it is gardening. Okay. And there it is traveling. Yes. So all these are rich and rewarding hobbies. Yeah. Traveling is an adventurous hobby. It is for the adventurous, yes, who have a natural curiosity to go where they haven't gone. Yes, they get introduced to new place and new people with different customs and traditions. Yes. Now, for those who love to know about various people and practices, here is our lesson for the day. That is a baker from Goa. Yes. Now, let us go to Goa and get introduced to the people, practices, and especially get to know better about a baker. Right. So, our lesson is a baker from Goa. And this piece that we have here in our textbook is written by the writer Lucio Rodriguez. Yes, you may pronounce that name once with me. It is Lucio Rodriguez, right? Okay. Lucio Rodriguez. Here, now let me show you a pic of his. Yeah, you would love to see the writer, right? Here is a picture of the writer. Yes. Okay. Lucio Rodriguez was born in the year 1916 and he expired in the year 1973. Yes, 1916 to 1973. He was a Konkani essayist. He served as the visiting professor of folklore at many universities and also as a professor of English in Mumbai and Goa. Yes? Right. Now, let us just go on to the introduction. And before we read part given there in the lesson, right? I hope all of you have your books. Please have a good look as we move on to the text. Yes? What images of people and of places come to your mind when you think of our country? Yes, there is probably no other country in the world which is so vibrant with diversity. We find in India, diversity is in all the aspects, divergent country, right? Yes. People from the northeast to north to mid and down to the south, we are completely different. Yes, right from our food habits to our climatic conditions to almost all the things, the cultural practices, yes, everything is different. Yes. Okay. What parts of India have you lived in or visited? Can you name some popular tourist destinations? I think people who love traveling would have by now traveled to most of the places. Yes? Yeah. And you can just name a few tourist destinations. Yeah, India is again rich. In fact, each state of India is rich with tourist destinations. Yeah, but unfortunately, with the outbreak of corona, we are all in house arrest. We are unable to travel. We are unable to visit any of these destinations, right? Any of these tourist places. Let us hope that in a while we will once again be able to visit these famous places. You may know that apart from the British, the Dutch and the French, the Portuguese have also played a part in the history of our country. Can you say which parts of India show French and Portuguese influences? Yes, this work I'm giving it as a task for you. Yes, a homework for you. That is to find these, no, the countries that are mentioned here: British, Dutch, French, and Portuguese. Which all places, no, have the impact of their visit and stay, right? Okay. And the last one, can you say which parts of India grow tea and coffee? That probably it goes without saying. Our tea from Assam is extremely famous. Yes, Chikmagalur is also Chikmagalur in Karnataka. Yes, Kodagu also is very famous for tea as well as coffee. Yes, invigorating coffee we get there. And Kerala too is well known for its tea gardens, Munnar, right? Yes. So our country is really rich. Okay. Now, let us move on to the lesson, which is a pen portrait. A portrait is a picture, right? A portrait. Now, here it is a pen portrait. We get a pen portrait, a write-up, which speaks volumes about a traditional Goan village baker who still has an important place in his society. So in today's lesson, we are going to see the role, the status, the importance of a baker in Goan society. Okay. Now, who is a baker? Yes. A baker is a person who makes cakes and bread, right? As especially as a trade, as a job, as an occupation, right? Fine. Now let us move on to the text. I just go about reading that text and I expect all of you to observe the text very carefully. Our elders are often heard reminiscing nostalgically about those good old Portuguese days, the Portuguese and their famous loaves of bread. Those eaters of loaves might have vanished, but the makers are still there. We still have amongst us the mixers, the molders, and those who bake the loaves. Those age-old, time-tested furnaces still exist. The fire in the furnaces has not yet been extinguished. The thud and the jingle of the traditional baker's bamboo heralding his arrival in the morning can still be heard in some places. Maybe the father is not alive, but the son still carries on the family profession. These bakers are, even today, known as Hodder in Goa. During our childhood in Goa, the baker used to be our friend, companion, and guide. He used to come at least twice a day. Once when he set out in the morning on his selling route, and then again when he returned after emptying his huge basket. The jingling thud of his bamboo woke us up from sleep, and we ran to meet and greet him. Why was it so? Was it for the love of the loaf? Not at all. The loaves were bought by some Paskin or Baskin, the maidservant of the house. What we longed for were those bread bangles, which we chose carefully. Sometimes it was sweet bread of special make. The baker made his musical entry on the scene with the jang jang sound of a specially made bamboo staff. One hand supported the basket on his head and the other banged the bamboo on the ground. He would greet the lady of the house with good morning and then place his basket on the vertical bamboo. We kids would be pushed aside with a mild rebuke, and the loaves would be delivered to the servant. But we would not give up. We would climb a bench or the parapet and peep into the baskets somehow. I can still recall the typical fragrance of those loaves. Loaves for the elders and the bangles for the children. Then we did not even care to brush our teeth or wash our mouths properly. And why should we? Who would take the trouble of plucking the mango leaf for the toothbrush? And why was it necessary at all? The tiger never brushed his teeth. Hot tea could wash and clean up everything so nicely after all. So here we are done with a reading of today's portion. Yeah. Now let us take up the new unfamiliar words. Yeah. Okay. I shall be giving the word meanings on the board, and I wish you take down, yes, the word meanings. Yeah. Okay. The first word I guess here that we see is traditional. Adhering to the past practices, yes, handed down age after age, from generation to generation. Such practices are called as traditional. Okay, traditional. So, for example, the celebration of various festivals. Yes, so tradition plays a role there, right? Okay. The next word is law. Is the plural form of the word loaf. Loaf is the singular. Loaves is the plural. Okay? Okay. Now loaf shape molded mass of bread. Okay, is a shaped or molded mass of bread, often which is sliced before we have. Okay, any shape it can have. You must have seen the bread, it can be rectangular or a square, or the buns you've seen, no, the round shape, right? So it is a shaped mass, molded mass of bread. Right? Okay. The next word, I guess, I don't know if it is difficult for some, vanished. Vanish means disappear. Disappear. Right? Okay. Now what's the opposite of vanish? Disappear has an opposite, no? Let us now list out the opposites. Vanish means disappear, and so the opposite is appear. Okay? Appear. Okay. And then we have the next word as we move is furnace. Yes? Furnace. It is not pronounced as furnace. F-U. It is furnace. Just like an oven, yes? An enclosed structure producing heat. It helps in cooking, okay? A furnace, okay? We have furnaces for various purposes, right? Okay. The next word that we have is put out, or another word is douse, okay? Douse. Douse a fire, put out a fire, okay? The opposite of extinguish is kindle. Another word is light. Yes, kindle or light. Okay. We have another word there, famous. Yes, do you remember the opposite of that? Famous. Famous means well known. Yes, renowned. Yes, something that is very well known, right? Okay, famed, right? Famous, something that has got lot of fame. Okay, the opposite of famous is notorious is one opposite, and we also have inglorious. Yeah, inglorious. Notorious is the opposite of that word. Okay. And then after that, the next page we see the word staff. Yeah, staff. Staff means a stick. Okay. Okay. Now the next word, bang. I guess that's a not at all a new word. You must already be knowing the meaning. Bang is beat, hit. Okay. Beat. Let me remind you. Beat. The three forms of the word. Beat. The past tense is also beat. People commonly make a mistake as bet. He bet him. Yes, but that is wrong. It is beat. And the third form of the word is beaten. So the three forms, once again, beat, beat, beaten. Right? Same way hit. The word doesn't undergo any change. Okay? Only circumstantially we understand that, right? The three forms are hit, hit, and hit. Okay? If you don't look properly, you will hit something. Yes, I hit, yes, a desk while walking yesterday. Okay, and I had hit something previously. Right, the three forms of the verb. The next word is mild. Okay, mild means light. Yes, very light. We have the opposite of that word. Mild is severe. Meaning is light and the opposite is severe. Well, a couple of weeks back, I had mild fever. Yes, nowadays fever, we get very terrified. Yes, this is just as an example that I am saying. Mild fever, severe fever. Yes, severe fever. Malaria. Yes, one symptom of malaria is high fever. Severe. Yes, the pain was very severe, intense. Yeah. Okay. And then we have the next word that is rebuke. The word is rebuke. Rebuke means scold. Okay? We have another word, chide. Or even another that is a reprimand. Reprimand. Okay? So rebuke means scold. Yes? Chide or reprimand. And then we have parapet. I'm sure that all of you must be knowing parapet. Yes? Have seen a parapet. Protective wall. Now I have seen this on the terrace near the wells. Yes, you all must have seen the parapet. So a low protective wall is called as a parapet. Okay, and then we have a word that is P. Okay, P is what's that? Quick, look or glance. Okay, that is peep. Okay, peeping. As I passed, I just peeped inside the room to see if there was anyone. Okay, peep, a quick look. That is what is peep. I think with this we have come to the end of the words. I'm sure that as it is, the lesson is pretty simple. There are no any, I think, high sounding no word, difficult. Yeah, all these words are familiar. Okay. Then, now I wish you had a reading of this part, keeping the meanings in your mind so you understand it. Yes? Please have a reading, keeping all these meanings that we have discussed so that you understand the text. Okay. Now, you may pause there. Yes? Read and then continue with this. Okay? Now, I am sure that you must have understood after a reading. Yes, but still, I feel that if there is someone who hasn't understood the part thoroughly, let me just touch on the important points, yeah, so that everyone feels sure of what we have learned today, right? Okay, so the lesson begins with the writer telling that the elders in Goa, yes, they are nostalgic. They reminisce nostalgically. I didn't touch those words while giving the meanings because already it is written there. Yes, reminisce means remember. Yes, think of, especially of some pleasant thing, right? Nostalgically, nostalgic means think fondly about especially a period of time. Okay. Now here the meaning is already given. Thinking fondly of the past. So the elders in Goa, they think of the past very fondly. Yes. What are the things that they are remembering there so fondly? The first one is the Portuguese, the good old days of the Portuguese, and the third thing is their famous loaves of bread. These are the three things that the elders are reminiscing, right? Okay. After that, the writer tells that those eaters of loaves have vanished. Who are those? He is referring to the Portuguese people, right? They have vanished. But the makers are still there. The bread that it was a legacy that was left behind by the Portuguese, no, had such an impact in the society that it became so popular that the bread eaters, even though the original ones have gone, the Portuguese have gone, it is still so popular that it is still made. The molders, the mixers, and the people who make and bake the bread. No, it is continuing. The furnaces, yes, the furnaces, the fire in the furnaces has not extinguished. That means it is still lighted. The work of baking the bread is still continuing. Yes, and here he says that the thud and the jingle of the traditional bamboo. Yes, the baker, he used to carry a bamboo, a staff, right? And this thud and the jingle, this musical sound heralded, announced. Herald means announced the arrival of the baker. Yes, and he says that probably, yes, the previous generation, the fathers are no more alive, but the business is thriving. And we know that bread is still popular because the sons are into the profession. The sons carry on. Carry on means continue with this profession. So that tells that bread is still very much liked. It is still so popular. Okay. Now after that, he touches on the role, the significance, the status of a baker. He says that he is a friend, a companion, and a guide. It was not just a professional dealing, right? He was something more than the profession that he did. He was more than a baker. He was a friend to the family, a companion to the family, as well as a guide to the family. And the baker, used to visit the family twice a day. Once in the morning when he was on his selling round with his basket loaded with the loaves. Yes. And once after emptying his huge basket, once again he touched the family. Yes. And he says that, in fact, the baker, who was called a father then, he used to come. In fact, the sound of his thud, it was actually an alarm for the children. The children used to wake up hearing that sound. And the moment they heard this sound, the children used to rush to meet. And he tells that it was not just that the love for these loaves. They wanted to interact, they wanted to meet the baker, and they were especially fond of the bread bangles. Yes, children, they are very fond of things like that, right? And they were very fond of, especially they liked that bread bangle. And sometimes they were also, they like to have that sweet bread of a special make. So for this, for getting that, the children used to rush to meet the baker. Okay, now as he arrived with the bamboo staff thudding on the ground, his basket supported, one hand supported the basket and the other held the staff. Yes, and then he would unload, he would keep the basket on his staff, and then he would be delivering the loaves for the elders and the bangles for the children. And when these children used to crowd, he would mildly rebuke, he would scold them and send them away. But the children were not deterred. They still persisted. They still peered into, eager to see what was there in the baker's basket. Okay? And then finally we see that the writer says that as children, they were so fond of these bread bangles that they hardly cared to brush their teeth. They would straight away munch into these bread bangles. And he compares his act of not brushing the teeth to the tigers and says that even the tiger doesn't brush his teeth, right? And what was enough to wash that? A hot cup of tea would wash the mouth. That was enough. That's what he thought. He didn't want to take the trouble of brushing his teeth by plucking the mango leaves, as was the practice then. Right? So with that, I think we've come to the end of the explanation part. I hope now it's really thorough with everyone. Yes? So just to check out whether you have thoroughly understood this part, let me just ask you a few questions from this part. Are you ready? Okay, so the first question for you there it is, who does the writer mean by those eaters of loaves? Just think of the answer. It is the Portuguese, right? The original eaters of the loaves were the Portuguese. Second question, how do we know that bread making is still popular? We know that bread baking is still popular because even though the fathers are not alive, the sons are into the business. Yes, and bread is in great demand. Had it not been, the sons would have taken to different profession, right? Now the third question is, how was this baker regarded by the people? Yes, he was regarded as, he was considered to be their friend, their companion and guide. Good. How many times did the baker visit the family? Yes, how many times does he visit the house? He visits twice. One on his selling route in the morning and one after emptying his goods. He visited the family. Okay. Why did the children eagerly await the baker's arrival? The children eagerly awaited the baker's arrival because they were so fond of the bread bangles and they were excited to get that. That's why they eagerly awaited the baker's arrival. How did the baker make his entry? The baker made his entry in a musical way. He had his musical entry. Yes. What made this music? The stab that he held. Yes. The thud and the jingle created the music. Okay. What does the author say about what he remembers? What is it of the loaves that he still remembers? Yes. What is that? He remembers the loaves. What is special about the loaves that he remembers now? He recalls something. Yes, it is the fragrance. Yes, the fragrance of the loaves. By the way, fragrance. Can anyone tell me the opposite of this fragrance? Yes, it is stench. Let me just note it for you here. Fragrance, stench, right? Okay. And he especially remembers the fragrance. Okay. The next question is, why didn't the children care to brush their teeth? Yes, could you get the answer? The children didn't care to brush their teeth because they were so eager to munch into the bread bangles. They didn't want to delay, yes, eating that. So they did not care to brush the teeth. Now, who did the narrator compare his childhood habit of not brushing the teeth? Yes, the narrator and his companions, they did not brush their teeth as children. Yes. So who does he compare to? He compares that act to the tiger. Even like these children, he compares and he says that the tiger too never brushed its teeth. Yes? Okay. And with this, I think we've come to the end of the question session, right? Okay, the comprehension part. I guess now you are more thorough after we have done with these questions. Now, I guess it is time for you to read aloud the text. Right now, I won't be able to listen to how you read, but please see that you go ahead reading, consciously, making an effort to read meaningfully, paying special attention to the pronunciation, right? And in case you are not sure with the pronunciation of a word, pause there, check the dictionary, and then continue reading it. Okay, now it's time for the homework. And as homework, I assign the oral comprehension check that is given on page number 86. Yes, let us now discuss those questions before you proceed to write them as your homework. The first question, what are the elders in Goa nostalgic about? The elders in Goa are nostalgic about the Portuguese, the good old Portuguese days, and the famous loaves of bread. 3 points you need to remember there. Is bread making still popular in Goa? How do you know? By now we are sure that bread making is very much popular in Goa. We are sure about it because we know that even though the fathers are not there, the sons are continuing the art of making bread. Yes, they have taken it up as a family profession. What is the baker called? A baker in Goa is called as a powder, right? And then we have the fourth question. When would the baker come? Every day. The baker would come twice every day. Once in the morning on his selling round, and once after emptying his sale. Yes, after the sale of his entire goods, he would return. Why did the children run to meet him? The children ran to meet him because they were extremely fond of the bread bangles. Yes, so I guess that by now you are thorough with this part, and I have just given you 4 questions as today's homework, and then that before we read part, the influence of the British, the Dutch, French and the Portuguese, which parts of India have the impact of these people's visit, and which are these places, and what is it that they have left behind. Yeah, just now we have seen that Goa has got the Portuguese, yes, legacy, that is bread, right? So these questions, I hope by the next class you would be completing it. Yes, and in case any doubts are there from today's part, in tomorrow's class you can ask. So thank you, children. With this we wind up. Yeah, thank you for being there. Have a pleasant and marvelous day. Thank you.